morning. This is approximately 8 o'clock in the morning, and I'm sitting here, chilling out here on my balcony at my home, drinking tea, which is over there. Very unusual for me, but getting into this morning routine process. But that's not what I wanted to do the video about. What I wanted to do the video about is how to dress it correctly. Basically, the trade-off, or what to me seems like a trade-off between emotional maturity and self-development versus success and extreme success in business. So I'll explain what I mean by that. So, in my journey, as I've gone through developing my mindset and kind of maturing as a person, understanding various levels of awareness that people live in, various levels of kind of reality and how that is constructed, and that everyone has a different reality, how our emotions, how our subconscious mind impacts our lives, and all this kind of stuff, which is very useful, and those are great tools for anybody to become more fulfilled and happy in life, even though happiness is not really a purpose in life. It's just one of the elements in life. But what's interesting is that if you take all these things and you look at and you apply them to business, oftentimes there's a conflict of interest, and I'll explain what I mean. So you can look at many kind of world-leading companies and their leaders, their founders, people that run these businesses, and you can analyze, at least from publicly available information, you can analyze, their personalities, what's important to them, how they run their business. And it's interesting to see that, especially looking at really the top of the top in the business world throughout, last 20 years, let's say, most of the technology leaders, like billionaires and Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, guys like that, Elon Musk, and all the way to business leaders and kind of less flashy industries. What you find is, or at least what I find, or at least that's how those are the examples that I continuously identify and see, is that those business leaders are not, they're more like war generals. They are ruthless. They squeeze out everything from their teams, their employees. So it would be very difficult to say that those guys are, for sure they're emotionally developed and mature, but that those guys are the kind of typical textbook type of leaders that see the best in others, that that are compassionate, empathetic, have the ability to see things from other people's perspective, delegate, and so on and so forth. I think a lot of those things are very, very much missing for these extreme entrepreneurs. And so it's interesting. So how do you reconcile the super success in business, which seems to require ruthlessness, relentless, kind of aggressive focus, getting shit done, getting things done regardless of the price, type of approach, where basically business is war, and your people are soldiers, and if they die, fuck it, it's just a resource. That kind of mentality versus a more people-based or more soft approach, where you see people as kind of the most important asset. Well, for sure, they're the most important asset, but where you don't squeeze the juice out of them to an extent that they literally they just fall off and die once the business objectives are accomplished. So I was reading a book about Elon Musk, and I think that book is a great example of a guy that is really one of the extreme kind of war general type of entrepreneurs. And he's definitely not using a lot of the soft self-development stuff, right? And then yesterday I was reading an article about Jeff Bezos. A very big kind of news piece came out about the sort of culture or perceived culture of Amazon, which is referred to as extremely aggressive, hard-working, abusive at some points. The personal needs of people are really left far aside after reaching the business objectives, and so on and so forth. And so it's interesting how to reconcile that. Yeah. And it's for me, it's still an open question. And I'm sure that there are business leaders that are playing the business at the world level that are a lot more, I wouldn't want to say soft, but use the tools of emotional maturity a lot more, that place the individual needs of people a lot higher than many of the examples that I mentioned. As a cliched example, as a very cliched example, I could mention Richard Branson. He's this super fun, all good, happy-go-lucky persona. At least that's how it's showed in the media. Not sure if it is the case in reality, but that's kind of one example of a person that I suppose sort of focuses more on the soft side of things. And to that, I wanted to add that I think what allows a lot of these business leaders in a very competitive environment to get away with them being extremely aggressive and really not kind of having people's individual needs in mind. What lets them get away with being aggressive and seeing and using people as a pure resource is that they have this unprecedented, unbelievable vision, drive. They see the future. They set out outrageous objectives, and that is what really resonates with a lot of people. And people are ready to put up with being treated like shit, being treated like resource. Working unbelievable hours, just dedicating themselves 100% to a vision set by a visionary leader, and I suppose that's a big element of how those things balance. But yeah, so that's just a few thoughts that I had that I wanted to share, and the last thing is how to identify with all that in terms of myself, and I think in terms of myself. Especially going forward, I'll just make a unique combination of still being aggressive and ruthless in situations where the business environment demands that, which is a lot of the times, while having the tools of self-development as something that I will use very often to make sure that people that are around me, that work for me, that are my partners, that they're treated so that I treat them to the best of my ability. Something like that, And the sun is blowing in my eyes, so it's cool early morning of last few weeks of August, and I'm about to go to work now. So thanks for listening, and I'll come back to you pretty soon with some more self-reflective stuff. Peace.